Yeah.
Hi guys, Happy Conscious Gal here. Okay, so it's not as dramatic as the title of the video sounds, but it is a pretty big stuff up. I have definitely made the one huge mistake of this HCG journey, and it's okay, you know? Life's not perfect and I'm not perfect, and I'm really at a point in my life where I realize that even my mistakes, even my challenges, even the things that seem to be catastrophic are usually just opportunities for learning for me. And actually, usually they turn out not to be disasters. Once I have a bigger perspective and I look back from the perspective of the future, I usually see it was the best thing that ever happened. So what I'm about to tell you, I am looking at from that perspective. So I'm not really that upset about it, although I could have been. Basically what happened is I have messed up my P3 because I have accidentally been eating carbs the whole way through and I didn't realize I was. And it's so embarrassing because, as you guys know, I know a lot about food. I've been researching nutrition since I was 15 and eating an alternative lifestyle for 20 years, and I've eaten low carb before. I actually spent a year eating low carb when I lived in London in my 20s, and I knew exactly what was in every single food, and I know how to eat without carbs. And what's really funny is this particular round, I made a choice to eat super low carb because I thought, this is the last round I'm doing. I'm at a very low weight. I want to maintain this for life. I have no intention of doing another round. And, you know, the final one is the one you really want to lock in. So I was like super strict. A few things that I had in previous P3s, like tempeh and raw cacao powder and peanut butter, I cut out because they have a bit of starch in them. So I was being really rigorous. I wasn't even eating fruit other than a few berries. So the only vegetables I was eating were super low carb ones. So I was thinking, I'm nailing this. Yeah, I'm eating lots of fat, lots of protein, no carbs. Except that I was eating carbs. So funny. All I can do is laugh. So what was the mysterious food I've been eating that is full of carbs that I didn't realize? And why didn't I realize it? Well, it's a very interesting story. The thing I've been eating is raw milk. And I didn't know it had carbs in it. And the reason I didn't know is I've never eaten it before. As some of you know who watched my recent vlogs on healthy eating and stuff, I haven't eaten milk since I was 8 because I stopped eating Franken milk, the milk that you buy in supermarkets, because it gave me terrible sinus problems and stuff. So I've never eaten it. The only dairy I've ever eaten in my life is Greek yogurt, which I've been eating for many, many years because it's very high protein, very good fats, and doesn't have any sugar in it, and I don't really normally eat sugar. So the only other dairy I've ever really eaten is really expensive cheese like Parmesan. It's very fermented cheese and high fat and very low carb. So in my head, dairy is high fat, low carb. And I've never really looked at a milk carton because I've never drunk a milk carton. I've never picked up a milk carton. So when I moved to this beautiful part of the world I'm living, there's a very health-conscious community here, and someone told me that raw milk is really healthy for you, and I looked into that, and they told me there was a farm here where you could get raw milk. So I was like, wow, I've never drunk milk before. Maybe I can drink it if it's real milk, not Franken milk. I've never tried it. So I got some. I drank it. I didn't get any sinus problems. I felt great. I was like, oh my God, this is a miracle. I can drink milk. So as you guys know, I've been doing all sorts of fermented foods, making kefir and buttermilk and cream and yogurt out of it, as well as putting the raw milk in lots of recipes like homemade ice creams. Super healthy stuff. And if I wasn't on P3, it'd be fantastic. Fermented foods, really great vitamins, great fats. But the thing is, because this milk I'm getting comes from a farm, it's not in a bottle with labels on it. So again, I had no opportunity to see that it had carbs in it. I was happily drinking it, not even thinking. In my head, it was the same as cheese, you know, good cheese and good Greek yogurt. So how did I realise I was accidentally eating carbs, and what is the consequence? Well, as you guys know who've been watching my vlogs, the first week on P3, even though I was eating so strict low carb, my weight was going up a little bit each day, and I couldn't understand it because I was eating so strict P3. And at the end of that week, basically my stats were, I went from 58.8, 129.6. The next day of P3, I was up 59.2, 130.5 pounds. On the Thursday, I was up to 59.6, which is 131.4. On the Friday, I was up to 59.7, 131.6 pounds. On the Saturday, I woke up and I was 60.1 kilograms, 132.5 pounds, and I went, oh my god, I'm outside the 2 pound window. How did that happen? But I didn't really worry about it because I thought, oh, well, that's normal. Some people put on weight in the first week on P3, I just got food in my stomach, you know, I'll just do a correction day. So as you guys know, I did a correction day. I had a Greek yogurt day. I only ate Greek yogurt. It was incredibly effective. Probably now because I realised it was my first day without any carbs because I wasn't drinking milk. Anyway, I ate Greek yogurt. Dropped 2.2 pounds, was back in my window, I was happy, thinking, fine, this is good, you know, I'm totally on top of it. Then, of course, I still didn't realise I was eating carbs when I had milk, so I kept having it. But what happened was, the next day I woke up with my period. And those of you who've watched my vlogs for the last year know I get really severe period pain. And it has dramatically improved in the last year, to the point where I no longer need this toxic medication I used to take, which knocks you out basically for 24 hours. It's like a tranquilizer. So I don't take that anymore. But as a result of not taking that, instead of that I'm taking some natural herbs from a herb shop here, and it really helps. But I still have cramps. They're just not sort of pass out from agony cramps. They're just very painful cramps. But because I'm not knocking them out with this extreme medication, they go on for longer. So I actually this time had 3 days of cramps, but they weren't debilitating, but they were bad. And because it was so exhausting, I was in so much pain, I just basically sat on the couch for 3 days going, typing emails, reading books, you know, but I didn't even move. I didn't even get up. I just didn't have the energy. And if I did get up, I was like, I need food, I've got no energy, I need food. So what did I eat? I thought I'd eat some really good high-fat food that would give me energy. So coconut oil, a bit of chocolate delight, fine. I ate a little bit of cheese, not too bad. I ate a whole lot of homemade ice cream, thinking all that was in it was cream and milk and stevia and cinnamon, not realising that the cream and milk was full of carbs. So I just ate that. I ate loads of that. And I woke up on the second day of my period and I'd gone up to... So I told you I did the correction day, which worked really well, dropped down back into my window. At the end of that I was 59.1, 130.3, thinking awesome. Then I woke up the next morning, which was the first day of my period, and I was 60.2, but I figured it's just because I got my period, I probably got fluid retention, so I didn't worry about it, but of course didn't realise that I'd drunk milk the day before, not knowing it was carbs. Then woke up the second morning of my period after having eaten all that ice cream and comfort food, and I was 60.8, and I thought, this is weird, I don't normally gain this much on my period. I might gain a kilo, but this is nearly 2 kilos. I was at 134 pounds. I was like, this is weird. But the second day I had such severe cramps, even worse than the first day, that I just didn't even think about it, and I kept just eating high-fat food, what I thought was high-fat food, but it was actually high-carb food. And on top of it, on that day, our freezer broke, and we had to thaw out all of the food in our freezer, and we decided we'd finish it all off, so we cooked up all the frozen prawns, and I ate all the rest of the ice cream. So I think, you know, it's just high-fat, it'll be really good, it'll bring my weight down, it'll be another correction day. I'll do a high-fat ice cream day. Oh my god, it was full of sugar, milk sugar. I didn't realise, because I didn't realise milk had carbs in it. So I woke up on the third day of my period, and I was, are you ready for this? I nearly fainted. 61.5 kilograms. That's 135.6 pounds. That's almost back to where I was at the start of my last round. I started my last round at 63 kilos, which is 138.9. I was only like 3 pounds below it. I went, what? I can't have put on 3.5 kilos just from my period. That's not possible. And so that was on Wednesday. And I noticed that day, even though my cramps were better, I was really tired and my body was aching. And the next day, you know, there was no ice cream left, but I just ate my normal food, but I was still having my raw milk and my kefir and everything, thinking it was high fat. And the next day, my weight stayed pretty stable, but I felt exhausted, like exhausted on yesterday, and aching and stiff. And I went and saw my Feldenkrais practitioner. I said, I don't know what's going on. I'm totally bloated. And my body's really sore, and I'm really achy, and I'm really tired. And she said, my God, what's happened to your stomach? Because it was like blown up. She said, I think it's from my period cramps. And she said, yeah, it's probably water retention. And I said, but could it be that much water retention? I've never had that before. I've had a bit of bloating when I get Tom, but not this much. So I got home and I got my partner to dowse it because he's a really, really accurate dowser, the muscle test, and he uses a pendulum. And I got him to ask, is this 3.5 kilo gain on the scales all water retention from my period pain, or have I actually gained some fat? I've actually put on some fat somehow, even though I thought I was eating low carb. And he dowsed it. It was about half and half. And I was like, how is that possible? Anyway, so yesterday I was on a drive last night, and I was thinking through everything I've been eating. And I knew I'd had no fruit except for berries. I'd had no nuts. I hadn't even had that much cheese. The only vegetables I had were things like spinach and cucumbers and very low glycemic. I hadn't had any tempeh, I hadn't had any peanut butter. Nothing I was eating had starch. And then I suddenly went, but hang on, I've been drinking milk for the first time in my life. Maybe there's a little bit of carbs in it. Maybe it's not pure fat like Greek yogurt is. And I suddenly went, oh my God, I'm a moron. I never thought to check that. Oh, shit. So I pulled the car over on the side of the road. I got out my fitness pal. I plugged in 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of raw milk, and it told me it was 12 grams of carbs. I mean, talk about a moment of just horror. And, you know, in those 3 days when I had my period, I probably had 3 or 4 cups of milk. I mean, I was eating this ice cream, homemade ice cream. It was full of raw milk. And I also had some kefir, which I mixed with chia seeds because it was really nutritious, and I thought it would give me energy. There's so much nutrition in it. I mean, from someone who never drank milk in their life, the amount of milk I drank in those 3 days, no wonder I woke up, you know, exhausted and aching the next day because my body doesn't do well with sugar. I don't normally eat sugar in my normal life, so I would never eat that much carbs. I would never eat that much sugar. So, oh my God. So my heart sank and I just felt really teary for a couple of minutes. So I was like, I have just undone all the work I've done in the last 2 months by accidentally eating carbs throughout this P3. Have I ruined my opportunity to stabilize? Am I going to be able to stabilize here? Is it all going to come back on? You know, blah, blah. I had all these thoughts going through my head. And I was packing because I'm leaving today to go back home for a visit for 10 days to see all my friends and family. As you can see behind me is suitcases. I'm in the middle of packing.